All right. Hey, we had an appointment at 12 o'clock and it is 12 o'clock. Welcome, my friends, to overcoming the 5 types of car reluctance. Really excited to be here with you today and to go through this. As you know, I love interactive. We want to keep these things interactive as possible. So we love your questions. You can ask questions anytime. Nope, someone says you cannot hear. So we were just hearing. Let me see what we need to do. Okay. Oh, there we go. Look at that. How's that? Thank you for that. I appreciate that, Jason. All right. Can you hear me now? It looks like you can. If you want to just acknowledge that in the box, that'd be great. So welcome. All right. Welcome to the 5 types of car reluctance. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. All right. Awesome. And you guys know when I do webinars, I want these things to be as interactive as possible. I love your questions. Keep them coming. We are going to give you some time at the end. However, it makes no difference. I love questions even in between. And if there's anything that you feel like, wow, I really didn't get that, or I think I'd like to know more about that, just understand there's probably other people that are having the same thoughts. So feel free, don't be shy to ask your questions. All right. So welcome to the 5 types of call reluctance. This is actually based off my book, The Sales Playbook, and we did a lot of research and we found out these are the 5 most common types of call reluctance. And the good news is we have strategies to help you overcome each one. And that's the exciting thing for today. So today we're going to go for 30 minutes. We're going to end right at 12:30. And like I said, we're going to have some time at the end for your questions. So do we have any questions before we get started? All right. As you guys are coming up with your questions, a little bit about me. Been in sales over 30 years. Good portion of that, 17 of those years were in real estate. Worked for a magazine before that where I literally called I was calling from telephone books. I was calling other trade magazines, door knocking, business to business, and that's how I kind of got good at. Well, I wouldn't say that's how I got. Before that, I worked at a call center for MBNA America Bank, which is a credit card company. Before that, I worked for Kirby, the vacuum cleaner company. Was selling $1,500 vacuum cleaners back then, which was a ton of money back then. So I've always been in the sales kind of prospecting, kind of phone call, cold calling industry for pretty much my whole life. Now I was a team leader, and now I do some cold calling. I'm a consultant, paid by a very large real estate company to recruit. So it's in my DNA, and that was why I wrote this book, because I realized from my experience of doing this for this many years, as well as interviewing other salespeople and people that are in the same industry. These were the things that we came up with. So anyway, I joined Keller Williams 2002. Been with KW. It's the only real estate company I've ever been with. I started my team in 2006. We grew our team up to doing just under 30 million in volume. I was part of the Gary Keller Mastermind from 2011 to 2014. Then I went into the role as a team leader. In a year and a half, my team recruited almost over 200 agents into the market center. So I understood that side of the business as well. I also have authored the Sales Playbook, and I have my podcast, which I would please ask you to check out. It's called Path to Mastery. Please go to Apple and you can download Path to Mastery and check out my podcast. And man, I enjoy golfing, reading, volunteering. Amy, thanks for putting all this great stuff up here about me. Spending time with my family, and also I just did my first Ironman, and it was amazing. And wow, what a cool experience to go through that. And I'll tell you that too is what we're talking about today. Is a lot of it's mindset, and just being able to go through that Ironman competition helped a lot with mindset, and just let Adam Hergenrother know that I'm coming for him next, because we just went out the next Ironman. I'm coming for Adam. So, all right. Anyway, jumping forward. So, what we will discuss today: the most common types of sales call reluctance, how to boost your current sales strategies. Okay, so these are what I want you to take from today. And then I want you to think about changing your prospecting mindset, because it's all mindset. I really want you to understand that. As a matter of fact, I would write that down right now. If you have a pad of paper in front of you, if you're taking notes, write that down. It's all mindset. Everything we talk about today is mindset. It's going to be different types of mindset and different different things that are, and you all know that we have that little voice. The little voice that just said, "What little voice are you talking about?" That's the little voice. The one that just said that is that little voice that says things to us. And some of us are fortunate that it says good things to us, but for most of us, unfortunately, it's not saying the most positive things to us. And those are the things that we can change, and we can change that with practice. And we can change that with awareness and consistency. And those are the things we're going to talk about today. All right, any questions? Again, feel free to post your questions, and I would love to answer them for you. All right, so dread picking up the phone. Why is it so hard, right? And this can apply to the phone. It applies to maybe sending an instant message through Facebook, right? Or maybe it applies to you're in line at a Starbucks and you should probably start a conversation, but you don't say anything, right? Because right here it shows right the fear of rejection, right? Well, what if I say something, or what if I call and they reject me, right? Like what if they don't like my offer and I get rejected? And I think that is one of the biggest challenges. That's the largest one. That's the one I see probably most common. And I can, unfortunately I don't have access to a camera, but I would show you right now. I have a big whiteboard in my office that's right in front of me. And what I'll do is I'll post a picture of it on my Facebook group. My Facebook group is called Path to Mastery. And it's a big whiteboard. The only thing it says on it is, "I am here to help." I'll read that again. "I am here to help." And it has a smiley face, and that's it. So when I'm making phone calls to people, I'm calling to help. That's it. I really want you to understand that, because when you're coming from a place of contribution and you're really coming from a place of, hey, service, I want to help you, then the rejection is not going to matter. Because and here's the other part of rejection, and I think this is something that a lot of us struggle with, is most times they don't even know who we are. So they're not rejecting us. They're not like rejecting me, like Dave Hill just called me. How dare he call me? I hate Dave Hill. No, a lot of times, my friends, what they're doing is they're rejecting our proposal, or they're rejecting what we have to offer, our offer. So again, we got to figure out how to not take this personal, right? And these are the things that we're gonna. And so listen, we're putting together for you. This is a promo for a 5-week training, and each week we're going to go through each of these types of reluctance, and we're going to give you a strategy for each one. And every one of you that partners with us on this is going to come out the other side, having conquered these 5 types of call reluctance. And I am super excited for this. So the second one is lack of role acceptance. So what is lack of role acceptance? Hold on, it looks like we have a call. I just jumped on the call. Did David say where he works? I am. I work in. I am located in Northborough, Massachusetts, by the way. So for referrals, we love real estate referrals. So if anybody's interested, Northborough, Mass, that's central Massachusetts. I work. I am a national recruiter, and I call all over the country right now. So, but we also sell real estate locally, and my amazing wife V is very engaged in that process. But I want to talk about lack of role acceptance. Okay, so think about, maybe you went to school for I don't know, accounting or who knows, maybe you went to school to be an engineer, right, or a doctor, and then you decided somewhere down the line that you didn't necessarily love, that career path, and you decided, you know what, I'm going to switch, and I'm gonna do real estate because I watch, HGTV, and you see Home Hunters and all these shows where real estate looks super easy and looks super fun, and then you get into it and you're like, holy cow, it's nothing like that. Like, wow, like my mom bought a house and my cousin bought a house, and yeah, but now like I don't have anybody else to buy houses, and then they tell you, well, you got to pick up the phone and start calling people, and you're like, well, what do you mean pick up the phone and start calling people, right? And now here, I want you to think about the lack of role accepted. Like, well, listen. I mean, I went to school to be an engineer. You're telling me I need to start cold calling people, right? Or like I don't want to do that, right? So that's below me. And I'll tell you where this comes from. It comes from, all the times maybe you've been called by telemarketers and you're just getting frustrated and you're like, oh, stop calling me, take me off your list. And then what do? You associate those calls that you're getting with what you're doing, okay? And I'm going to bring you right back to what I said earlier, to my whiteboard. I am here to help, right? So oh man, I remember this agent, great agent. Her name was Michelle. She was on my team. She was on the PTO at her school, and nobody knew she was in real estate. I could not even believe it. Nobody knew on the board that she was even in real estate. And I'm like, well, Michelle, why not? Oh, I don't want to seem pushy. I don't want to, I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable mixing business with that. And I'm like, well, so I'll tell you when her big, where she had her moment of clarity was when somebody came in and was sharing their situation of how they were in a real estate transaction and everything was going downhill for the person, and they were really struggling and they were about to lose a big deposit, and Michelle was like, oh my God, I can't believe she's going through this. And her moment of clarity was like, well, wow, if I was their agent, they would never have been going through this. And I think that was when she really understood that, again, I want you to think, I'm coming from a place of, I want to help you. I want to make sure that you're never in a situation like that. And that's what I'm really, really good at. So so lack of role acceptance is, I'm better. Like, I'm the best of the best of the best. And that's why I'm reaching out to you. That's why I'm letting you know I am in real estate, because I want you to have the best. So the challenge could be, now, if for some reason you don't think you're the best, then that's another class. We could figure that out. We can work on that as well, right? That's part of what we do, because we talk about your mission, your vision for why you're in real estate, right? What your superpowers are, right? What are you really good at? So we're going to talk about that. Not knowing what to say is the next one. This is probably one of the easiest ones to overcome, because it's simply just, and even I deal with that. I'm calling into different regions right now, and people throwing stuff at me that I hadn't heard before. Like for instance, it's funny. I was a team leader in Connecticut for almost 2 years, and now I'm calling into the Maryland area. And in Maryland, a lot of people are saying, yeah, like, how can I help you? And I'm thinking, like, I've never really, like, all of a sudden, like, everybody's saying to me, like, well, how can I help you? And I'm, in my mind, I'm like, well, I've never heard that before. Like, you guys might not even think that's a big deal listening right now, but in my mind, I'm like, well, why are they asking me how they can help me? Because I want to call and help them. So I had talked to the team lead. She's like, oh yeah, everybody says that here. She's like, I don't even notice people saying that. And I'm like, yeah, I do, because where I was selling, nobody was saying that. So now when people are saying, well, how can I help you? Oh my God, I appreciate that. So you can help me by letting me help you, right? So again, I want to be, I don't want to go too far off in a tangent here, but the reality is, not knowing what to say, it throws a lot of us off, and it's an easy one to fix, because you can fix it with role play. You can fix it with practicing your scripts, getting role play partners, just understanding the market, understanding what people's challenges are. There's really only 5 common or 6 common objections for just about any person or situation you're calling into. And if you can understand the 5 or 6, you're going to be able to handle it every single time. Overanalysis is another big one. Guys, just overthinking, just really over analyzing everything. Years ago, I was working with a kid. We were calling expireds and physicals together. An expired would show up on his computer screen, and he would literally spend 10 minutes on each one. He would look at it. He would look at the public record. He would make sure the person's not on the do not call list. He would do a quick, like a CMA, like a real quick, to figure out what the value is. He would look at the public record, and then he would call the person, for the person to say, listen, I've already re-signed with my same agent, take me off your list, and hang up on him. And the poor guy had just wasted 10 minutes of his life that he would never ever get back, right? So, and there's other ways that shows up as well. Overanalyzing everything that people say, and overthinking everything. So that's another thing we talk about. And then here's an interesting thing: the fear of success. This is one that a lot of us deal with that maybe aren't quite as aware of that as we think we are. Because success is hard, right? I mean, when you're successful, then all of a sudden expectations change, right? You do really good one year, you recruit. Like there was a month we brought in. I believe the grade, I can't, 100, I know we had a month where we brought in 17. I think one month we had brought in 21 agents. So, okay, I'm not 100% sure, so don't hold me to that, but I know 17. But the interesting thing is, you bring in 17 agents one month, then what happens the next month when all of a sudden you bring in 9 or 10, the expectations change, right? Well, wow, you brought in 17 last month or 21 last month. How come you only brought in 9 this month, right? Or 10 this month? So it's that fear of success. Or, wow, you did really, really good. Like you did, 6 million in volume last year by yourself, so now all of a sudden that's an expectation. Like, well, I can't go backwards, right? Or it's kind of like me getting into the Gary Keller mastermind. Like I was crushed when I wasn't invited back. And the reason I wasn't invited back was because I personally, with my business, I started focusing more on training and teaching and coaching and doing those other things, which I'm super passionate about, as you can tell. In my business, didn't keep pace with everybody else's business in the mastermind that was focusing 100% on their business. So I just didn't get the invite, right? I mean, that same thing, right? So it's that fear of, well, if I get here, I gotta continue doing all that hard work to stay there. All right, so let me jump forward a little bit here. So those are the 5 things that we're gonna cover. Again, feel free to ask questions. If you have any questions, just throw them out there. No issues at all. I love to answer your questions. All right, so these are some current methods to boost the sales strategies. Incorporate the phone, right? So the reality is, I know Facebook's easy, email's easy. The reality is, listen, not as many people are on the phones as you think. I don't know if you do expireds or you do physicals. You'd be surprised at how many calls these people are actually getting. I know we think like sometimes when Bold's in town, yes, they're getting a lot of calls. But I'll tell you, there's a gift in your pocket, and not just to make the calls, but go into those contacts, right? If you scroll all the way down, if you go to your contacts, you scroll all the way down to the bottom. Somebody should do that right now. Go into your phone, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and I want you to tell me how many contacts you have. So it doesn't matter. I believe it doesn't matter what type of a phone you have. So go to where it says contacts, okay? And then scroll all the way down to the bottom, all the way. Just keep going. Scroll, and tell me what that number says. I can tell you what my number says. And type your number in there, okay? My number says 5637. That's how many contacts are in my phone. Wow, that's a lot. 5637. I'd love to hear some of your numbers. So do that. Type your number in there so we know how many contacts you have. That's 5,637 opportunities in my phone right now of people that are potentially looking to buy and sell. And even if it's only a 1% conversion, right? I mean, even I'm not the greatest at math, but I believe that's, what is that? Like 56 transactions. And I feel like I can do better than 1%, right? I mean, that's unbelievable. All right, so think about that. also, and these are the things we're going to be talking about in this session, okay? The right communication methods. So it's text, it's email, and social media. Guys, listen, the telephone is one piece of the puzzle. Go back, listen to my episode on Path to Mastery, episode number 121. I interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk, and I was interviewed by Michelle Weinstein, who kind of walked us all through how I got Gary on my podcast. She did a great job interviewing me, and I shared how I did that. It was a combination of emails, social media, phone conversations, going to his events, text message, all that stuff. So I want you to understand it's a combination of all these things. It's not just one thing. It's going to be a combination, and we need to figure out what's the best combination for you. Look at these numbers. I love it. Karen 4937, Mayetta, awesome 2976, Yvette 1174. Yeah. So think about that. Let's say you have a 10% conversion. That's 175 transactions. That's 297 transactions. That's 493 transactions just from getting out there, talking to people, and coming from a place of contribution. That's it. This is not complicated stuff, guys. I'm telling you, it's not complicated stuff. Okay, so connect or be disconnected. You know, it's interesting. I'm calling into another region now, and some people may feel like maybe I have an accent, right? Like, I don't know, you guys, everybody listening is from different parts of the country. Maybe I do, or maybe you do, right? But the reality is what I'm doing now is I am 100% aware, so that when somebody answers the phone and let's say they talk in a very slow, methodical pace, what I want to do is I want to mirror that. I want to match that. So if somebody's like, hello, that's exactly what I do. I'm like, hello. Or if somebody says to me, if I say, hey, Dave Hill here, did I get you? I love did I get you at a bad time, because that puts them in control of the conversation. And if they say no, then great, perfect. That means I have the yes to continue. If they say yes, then I ask them what would be a better time to call back. So again, by asking them, did I get you? Everybody tends to say, did I get you at a good time? No, you didn't get me at a good time. I'm friggin' in the middle of something and you're calling me, cold calling me. I wasn't expecting your call. Did I get you at a bad time? It helps them say no, but it means yes. Or if they say yes, then you can ask, you're respectfully saying, what's a better time, okay? So again, this is about connecting with people, okay? So you can connect through tonality, you can connect through pace. If somebody asks you, I typically don't ask people how they're doing, but if somebody asks me how I'm doing, then again, in the same pace, I'm gonna say I'm doing great. How are you? And if they say I'm doing great, yeah, I love it. I'm great too. Or sometimes people say I'm doing great. How are you? I'm great. I'm the same as them. If they say I'm doing great and they say how am I, and I'm like I'm doing phenomenal, then I just disconnected. Does that make sense? I really want you guys to understand that. Okay, so we talk a lot more about that as well in this session that we're going to be promoting in a couple minutes here. Okay, so connect or be disconnected. Creating a positive mindset. Again, having fun. Can't say enough about that, guys. Just figure out a way to have fun with this. Don't take yourself super serious. Have the whiteboard that says, hey, I'm just here to help. The other day, perfect example. I called somebody and he's like, are you trying to recruit me? And I was like, yes. and I says, are you recruitable? And he said, no. I said, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how recruitable are you? 10 being moving today, and he said 4. I said, wow, 4. Okay, well that's not a 1, right? And it led to a conversation, and it led to a really good follow-up call, and I'm sure it'll go somewhere in the future. But that's the point. It's just about having fun, right? If we go into this so tense, and it's not going to work. And these are all the strategies that we are focused on working on with you. These 5 in finding your why, right? Like, why are you doing what you're doing? Okay, I mean that's a whole day in itself. Knowing your numbers, really critical. So I know right now, for every 20 conversations I have, typically it'll lead to one appointment for me. I set up appointments for team leaders. So if I have 20 conversations with agents, typically, some days it may be the first conversation, even if you won, but it balances out because then I'll go another 30 or 35 before I get one. So know your numbers. Practicing your scripts. You already talked about this. I would encourage everybody to have multiple role play partners. I've always had multiple role play partners. I find people that are better than I am, and I bug them and bug them and bug them until they role play with me. I've had Jeff Glover was my role play partner for a year. I've had Gina Ront, Dave Norberg. Who else? I'm trying to think. What's his face? Guy from Boston. Really. Anyway, I find the best of the best, and I just keep asking them until they have an opening. And I get them as a role play partner, and that helps me become better. I want to role play with people that are better than me, so that I move up to their level. I don't want to be the best. I always heard, I don't know if it was Gary that said this or from his mastermind, but I definitely don't want to be the smartest person in the room, and I wasn't by far not the smartest person in the room when I was in Gary's mastermind. So, and then have confidence in your contribution. Again, to me that's that. Like I said earlier, I'm here to help. I'm just coming from a place I want to help. The fortunes in a follow-up, guy. Listen, 70% of our business comes from follow-up. It's proven. If you don't have a good system in place for follow-up, then you don't even make the call. Seriously. Like right now, what I'm doing is the majority of my calls, I'm planning a follow-up, and that, the follow-up is where I'm going to go for the appointment. The first call, I just want to figure out what their goals are. I want to figure out, what, maybe some of their pain points or what's important to them. And then I don't want to push them into an appointment. It typically leads to a follow-up, and then we've built a little bit more rapport, and then I'll set the appointment. Same thing. This is tremendous for expireds, for sale by owners, right? A for sale by owner. I posted a video yesterday on Facebook. Stop previewing homes, right? Like, what's the point? Just call the FSBO and have a real conversation and say, listen, I want to list your house. Okay, you don't want to list now? Great. How much time will you let go before you list the house? I'm going to do this for 40 days before I list. Perfect. You know what? I won't bother coming over right now, wasting your time or my time. I'll call you back in 30 days. We'll see how you're doing. And if you're close to the listing, then I'll come over. That's the approach I like to take. All right. So taking great notes, critical for follow-up. If 70% of your business comes from follow-up, then you need to take great notes when you follow up. All right, my friends, we've got a couple of minutes left. I would love to get at least 3 or 4 takeaways, or if you have any questions, let's hear some of your questions, okay? Why would I be calling outside my area for referrals? Shouldn't I focus on yeah, of course, you should focus on your area. I was calling outside my area. That's what I do now because I was hired to recruit for other market centers. But I'll tell you, when I first started in real estate business, the reason I was calling outside my area because I was on a team and we ran out of leads in my area. So he had me call other areas for practice. And then what ended up happening was we got referrals in those areas because when we set appointments, we referred it to an agent, and then we got mailbox money when the referral check showed up. All right. So give me some takeaways. Let's get 3. Give us 3 takeaways. All right. I'd love to hear 3 takeaways. And while you guys are typing out your takeaways, I want to share with this next slide. Right now, there's an opportunity. Okay. This is everything we talked about. This was the super abbreviated version of prospecting mastery. We're going to share the 5 strategies. We're going to deep dive into each of those 5 forms of call reluctance. Every session is going to focus on one of those forms. We're going to give you tools. We're going to give you strategies. It's going to be accountability. It's going to be a group. You're going to be partnered up with other people to role play. Everything that you need to be successful. I can't guarantee anything because you need to put in the work. But if you put in the work, I'm very confident that you're going to get the result that you want to get. So that's an opportunity that starts on October 22nd. And right now, if you sign up today, there's a discount code that you can get $20 off. And listen, I really hope you partner with us on this session. And I would personally say, that if you throughout the session at the end said, you know what, that was not worth my time and I didn't get anything, I would just give you your money back, to be honest with you. So I believe the cost is $99. However, if you use the code, you get $20 off right now. All right, so 3 ahas. Let's see, find the best of the best in role play. Love that. Yeah, and just again, you're gonna ask these people too, and they're gonna say, "Oh, I don't have any openings right now." So the key is gonna be continue asking, and eventually you'll get them when there's an opening. Love your approach and mindset. Very different than the typical FISBO approach. Most people say, "Yeah, exactly. We don't want to do that." I love that you love that. Thank you, Karen. That's it. Just be authentic. Be real. Don't go. No need to preview houses. I'm here for a listing. It's funny. An agent just said to me the other day, "Oh my God, I went and I previewed this house, and then I followed up with her a couple days later. She listed with another agent." Yeah, because you went and previewed the house. The other agent went over to list the house. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. Darn it, I have bold every Tuesday starting October 8th. Okay, well, you know what? We will. Yeah. So these are recorded, by the way. So I don't know if it's going to be a challenge with the schedule. I think bold ends at 3 but anyway, we'll figure those details out. Listen, I just want to thank you guys. I have 12:31. So again, I want to thank you. I hope you guys all partner with us. And right now, for 24 hours, you do get a $20 off code. And if you know anybody else that's interested, let them know as well. And please, you can find me on my Facebook page, which is Path to Mastery. It's a Facebook group. We get the recordings if we can't make one. Absolutely, you'll get all the recordings, and you'll be part of our Facebook group. So hope to see you guys. You rock. And my intention is 100% massive value, 100% massive value, always. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.